Welcome to the Heroes of the Storm State of the Game panel.
BlizzCon. This is the Heroes of the Storm State of the Game panel. Got with me Alan DeBeery, our technical director, and Travis McGathy, senior designer on Heroes. We're going to talk about all the stuff we've been doing in the last year and stuff yet to come in the future. All right. I love you too, man. Thank you. There we go. All right. So 2016 was an absolutely incredible year for us. If you remember back, when we were last on this stage talking to you guys, we had just released a couple of heroes. We had just released Morales and Artanis. This seems like it was an eon ago to me that these heroes were first entering the Nexus, but these were the last two heroes we shipped before BlizzCon 2015. We had just recently shipped a new map. We shipped Infernal Shrines. I thought this map had shipped in the 80s. In fact, it was just last year. Now, since then, we have done a ton of stuff for Heroes. We did a massive ranked play update this year for Heroes. If you remember, last year we were playing with this system where it was 50-1, and it was very easy to go up and down in your ranks very rapidly, very stressful way to play. We redid the entire system this year to go from Bronze to Grandmaster. We finally got a Grandmaster League, a huge, significant improvement over the game in 2016. We also added bans to rank play this year. Now, last year when I was up here, I think Alan and I were up here together, and we were saying, bans, yeah, it's a pretty good idea. Well, probably. We'll get to it. We finally got it in. Huge value. Big props to you guys for pushing us on that. Really has helped make the game a whole lot better. Absolutely. Now, we've also done a whole bunch of heroes this year. We shipped Cho'Gall right after BlizzCon last year. We then did Lunara, one of my favorites. Greymane followed soon after. Li Ming, easy enough to play, but hard to get the most out of this character. And we kept going as the year went on with Zul and Dahaka and Tracer, our first Overwatch hero to come to the Nexus. And then we started adding heroes that are a little bit more challenging to play, like Chromie, where she can really do some damage, but she's got no real practical escapes. And then we went a little nutty, and we added heroes like Medivh, where you really need to know what you're doing. You got to work with your team to make this guy functional. He's a very, very high skill cap player, and it's really difficult to use him to really show off what you can do with this character. Gul'dan, getting some sort of classic heroes into the game. Ariel, we needed to get some more supports. The more supports, the more interesting to play. And all in all, we've added 14 or 15 heroes to the Nexus this year, depending on how you want to count our two-headed ogre Cho'Gall, Alarak, and finally Zarya. Oh wait, I'm actually one more. There we go, Samuro. So that's quite a wall of dudes and ladies up there on the screen. Tons and tons of heroes went into this game this last year. We've also done a bunch of systems and Battlegrounds. So for Battlegrounds, we just shipped Towers of Doom after BlizzCon. We did Braxis Holdout with our Machines of War event, adding StarCraft to the Nexus, and one of my favorites, Warhead Junction, where you can lob nuclear weapons at your enemies. It's a really fun map to play on. Now, we also did Lost Caverns this last year. This is one of my favorite stories. This is what's so fun about working at Blizzard and working with this community. So we had one of our designers, John DeShazer, come to us and say, hey, there's guys on Battle.net doing this weird thing. They're going into custom games. They're playing on Cursed Hollow. They're all agreeing to play random heroes. They're all agreeing not to go for tributes. And they're playing sort of an all-random, all-middle gameplay as best they can using Cursed Hollow. I think I could give them a map, and if I could have a couple of weeks. And I said, oh my God, that sounds amazing. Let's do it. So he built the map. He went to the art staff. He said, guys, I need a little bit of art. Can you help? And they said, oh yeah, we'd love to. So they snuck in the work. Now, we didn't get a game mode for you guys, but we got this into custom game really within about a month of hearing what you guys were doing out there in the community. So this was 100% inspired by somebody out there who thought up this idea of using, Cursed Hollow to make an ARAM mode, and it was just a really wonderful addition to the game. And of course, now it's something we can use in our Brawl mode, and we can look at adding a mode for it down the road. In terms of systems, We did a huge matchmaker update this year. We've got more to come on that, but we had a big update this year. We have more heroes in rotation. We added ranked draft this year. We added unranked draft, another great add, a big suggestion from the community, huge help for the game. We also added ranked seasons and rewards. This is something we've needed for quite some time. We've been working on this. It was a big update for the game, and it was sort of that end game component that Heroes has always needed finally went in. We added questing talents, which I don't know, maybe this isn't a big deal to you guys. This is one of my favorite things we added in the last year, because it really allows players to show off their skill in the game. Now, as a player, you can try to complete the quests on your talents before the enemy players do on theirs, before your allies do, and you can really get a leg up and be one of the more powerful players in the game for a window of time. We also added MVP and death recap, again, ways to show off who the best players are in the game and who you have to watch out for. In terms of balance updates, last year we were doing balance updates every 4 to 6 weeks. So at the beginning of this year, we had a bunch of feedback in January, like, guys, this is not enough. You gotta go faster. And so I remember I went and we talked to the producers and we talked to the live operations team and we talked to our designers and they said, you know what? I think we have the technology now. I think we can go a little faster. So for a very short period at the beginning of the year, we were doing it almost every week. We were just throwing balance update you guys so quickly that a few guys out there in the community said, whoa, this is a little too much, especially for esports. Can you kind of get it right a little bit on a more consistent basis, maybe not every week. And so we scaled back to every 2 to 4 weeks, but we have this capability and we're very open to your guys' feedback about what the right rate is and if that rate needs to change for a period. That could be the case as well. And so that's an option we now have in play, and that's something that happened this last year. We did 19 hero and talent reworks this year. Now, not all of these were as successful as others, but all of these reworks really showed the value of our talent system and really showed what our design staff was capable of doing in refreshing a lot of these older heroes that you guys and we're loving playing and getting them back into the game, or if they're not really still a really high win rate, at least the choices on their talents are a lot better. And they have more options in the tree and they're not sort of mono choices across their talents. In terms of esports this year, this was our first full year of esports. Remember, we shipped in the middle of last year, so 2016 was the first time we were, from the beginning of the year to the end, we've had a chance to do esports. We had Heroes of the Dorm this year, which was absolutely amazing, with players all across North America competing for a chance to win college tuition for the rest of their four-year university. We had 3 global championships with over $4 million in United States dollars prize winnings. We had amazing community tournaments, some standout tournaments were Chair League and Heroes United. And we had over 1,000 tournament matches globally this year. So huge props to the community, huge props to our esports team and all of our players for making an incredible esports for 2016. All right, so that was 2016, sort of in a nutshell. Now, we're gonna have Alan talk through a little bit more detail about some of the things we learned during 2016 from all of these updates.
Cool, thank you, Dustin. So yeah, as Dustin mentioned, why don't we dive a little bit deeper into some of the things that we actually finished during 2016. So one of the nice things is we collect a lot of stats. We can look at these stats and then kind of make a determination of how did these changes actually work out in practice? How were players using them? We get a lot of feedback from you guys, but it's great to also look at these stats to help us make decisions. So first off, let's take a look at what happened after we actually made the major changes to our ranked experience and also adding in unranked draft. So this graph is going to show you, this is player time in Heroes before we release that update. This is where players are spending their time in Heroes of the Storm. So here you can see about 60% of our player game time was spent in Quick Match. After that, we had about 22% in Versus AI, and then finally followed up by about 19% in Ranked, which while it's the least played prior to the update, it's still pretty good for a highly competitive mode. So now let's take a look at what happened after we actually released that update, where we improved the ranked experience and we added unranked draft. So first off, we can see that Quick Match dropped a good amount down to 46%. Rank jumped up quite a bit to 30%. Versus AI dropped down to about 16%, and finally unranked draft made a nice showing at 8%. And while that might seem like a lower amount, we were actually really excited with that engagement from the player community. Like, we weren't entirely sure how people would use unranked draft. Was it going to be something that everyone was going to want to use, or was it something that maybe no one would end up using? And so to come out with this new game mode and actually have about 10% of players use it was awesome, and it's a cool bridge between quick match and the highly competitive ranked play. So, like I said, these were just a snapshot from right after we released that update. As time has gone on, things have changed, but we're actually really excited that more people are playing with some of these newer game modes. So, speaking of ranked play, we just had our first season roll. We had Season 1 ended. Prior to that, we had preseason. Preseason went on for quite some time, so we're glad we were able to actually finally get out the updated ranked experience. And so again, we can kind of turn to some numbers internally and look at how things looked versus preseason versus the end of Season 1. So, first I want to show you, this is a graph that's showing the distribution of players at the end of preseason. And so, if you weren't familiar with the system back then, we had a system where ranks were from 50 to 1, and you kind of just climbed up that ranking system that way. And so already, by looking at this graph, you can kind of see some weird things, and this is part of some of the reasons why we wanted to change the ranking system. First off, you can see that between 50 and 40, there's basically nobody there. It's really empty, and that's because of some original design ideas we had where we wanted to make some of the earlier levels more progression-based. We wanted to actually make it so that you felt like you were moving up, even if it wasn't necessarily directly reflecting your skill. And so as a result, you didn't actually lose any points in that range, you only gained points. So at the end of preseason, of course, everyone's kind of out of that range, and you see that large mass of players between 40 and 30. The other thing that you'll see that's kind of odd is that large peak at rank 1. And this also speaks to an issue we had with the old system, where we did not have a high-end aspect to the ranking system. Really, rank 1 was just this open-ended system whereby anyone above a certain skill rating ended up in rank 1. In addition, we did not have season rolls. We didn't have the opportunity to really redistribute the players along that ranking curve there and put everyone in the right places. So these are just a couple examples of things that we weren't happy with this old system and kind of just showing you that distribution. Now let's take a look at what happened at the end of Season 1. This is with the new ranking system now. So, right off the bat, you can see that things are looking a little better here. We do have a representation at the bottom end. We want, one of our goals was to make the ranking be an accurate reflection of your skill. And so we want players at all of these areas within the range. So we do have a representation at the bottom at about 11%. Then you can see the largest mass is in that silver to gold range. Silver being a little more represented than gold, but majority of players are in that range. And as we move up there, you can see it becomes more exclusive, less in platinum, less in diamond. Finally, you get up to masters, where there's only 1% of players on that region who are in masters. And finally, grandmasters, where when we shipped our ranked update, we actually had 500 players in there. Since then, we've actually changed it down to 200 players to make it even more exclusive and to really highlight the best players on your region. So, this is looking way better, but there's actually a couple things here that we'd still like to explore that we're thinking about changing for a future season. Number one, while we do want the majority of players to be in silver and gold, we think that's a nice place for the masses to be. We think that right now silver is a little bit overrepresented. When we first made this distribution, we thought that that was maybe the right place to put players. Since then, we think we'd like it to be more balanced between silver and gold, and we'd actually like to bring more of those players into gold. So that's one change we're going to be doing, is making some adjustments in that range. Another change that we'd like to look at is we actually think that diamond is a little too overrepresented right now. We'd like that to be a little more exclusive and to really represent that increasing skill as you move through those ranks. So we're going to take a look at actually redistributing some of that as well into the rest of the range and bringing diamond to be a little more exclusive. But either way, this was a much better view than our preseason. And as we go through seasons, the nice thing is we can make these adjustments, we can look at the data, and we can keep making things better. So continuing along with ranked stuff, I want to talk about party sizes a little bit. So right now we've got our two leagues in our ranked system. One of them, Hero League, solo and duo players only, and Team League, full parties of 5. So we've heard a lot of feedback from you guys. We've been this way for a little while now, and we've actually, we play ranked a ton ourselves, and so we have some experiences and some thought on this ourselves. And so there's a couple of potential issues here. You guys have brought it up, we've thought about it ourselves, and so I just wanted to outline those for you. So right off the bat, there's a perception amongst a lot of the players that solo players are at a disadvantage when it comes to Hero League. Basically, the idea is that if you're not in a duo, there's no chance for you to get to the top of the Hero League ladder. And the reason why I put perception there is because it actually doesn't entirely play out in reality, in the sense that when we look at the top of Hero League, we do have a good representation of solo players. It's not just duo players. And in addition, when we actually look at the stats, we see that duo players, the advantage that they have is a little less than 1% over solo players. So it is not this like hard guarantee that duo players are going to be the only ones at the top of the ladder. But the reality is there is that perception, and it makes the ranking a little weaker as a result, since there is that perception. Another issue here is 3s and 4s can't participate in ranked. Just by nature of our party size restrictions, there's just no place for them. So as a result, you need to pick up or lose players, or you go play unranked draft or quick match. And then finally, simply by nature of how Team League works, the fact that you need a full party of 5, you need to kind of find those 4 other friends that you're going to log on with at the same times, your schedules need to line up, your kind of play styles need to line up, all that stuff. There's less times that you're going to get a game going in Team League. Queue times end up being longer, and as a result, our matchmaking is actually not as good in Team League as well. And so that's not ideal. We want to improve that. So what are we going to do about this? We've actually heard a lot about your feedback. We've talked internally a bunch as well. And so there's something we'd like to do for a future season. We're going to test something out and see how this goes. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make Hero League solo players only. Only solo players can enter into Hero League. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to move 2, 3s, and 5s into Team League. So what are the benefits here? Why will this be something that's actually better? First of all, Hero League truly becomes a representation of your personal skill. This is just you entering into the queue by yourself. We're going to match you up with people of even skill, and then we're going to see how you perform. And so now there's no more this question of, well, did he duo or did he solo? It truly is a representation of your, your solo skill in this game. The other benefit is that Team League is going to reflect your coordinated team skill. Now you get all of the party sizes, with the exception of 4s, and I'll talk about in a second, into Team League. These are the players who maybe are on voice chat, maybe they've coordinated with their team as far as what hero composition they want to have, talked about strategies. Team League is now really the place to do that. Now, unfortunately, we couldn't get 4s in here simply because all of our solos are in Hero League, but we think that the ability to maybe pick up another player to get in Team League is an easier option now. Alternatively, you can still go and play unranked draft or quick match. And then finally, we're going to have, well, I just talked about, we can get parties of 3s in there now, so that's an awesome addition. And then finally, we're going to have higher Team League engagement. So as a result of being able to get more players into the game, for Team League, that mode is going to have quicker matches, better matchmaking, and as a result, the ranking will actually have more significance as well. It's no longer going to be thought of as like, okay, well, that's just Team League, you don't get a great match. Now it's actually a good group of people playing in this mode as well. So, like I said, we're going to try this out in a future season. We don't have the specific season just yet, but we're going to explore it. If it works, great. We're going to make it permanent. If for some reason it doesn't work, we're either going to make improvements or we're going to decide to go back. Either way. So, let's talk a little bit about matchmaking. As Dustin mentioned, a little over a year ago, our matchmaker was in a very bad place. We were not doing well. We track a lot of metrics on matchmaking and internally so that we can kind of evaluate our own matchmaker. This is in addition to the feedback you guys give us, and we play this game a ton ourselves, and we knew it was not good. And back then, even the metrics we keep track of were saying the matchmaker was not in a good situation. So earlier this year, we completely rewrote the matchmaker. We made significant improvements, and the matchmaking, all of our metrics actually increased significantly. We made much better matches. In addition, we also have been rolling out fixes and updates all throughout the year, and this is the great thing about the matchmakers is since it's completely on the server side, we can roll out fixes independently of patches, and then we can kind of look at the data and see how that goes and keep on making more fixes. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of the changes we've made. We've actually made a lot more than this, but just to touch on some of these things. First one is about hero level, and this is for quick match specifically. Prior to this change, we looked at your skill as an individual reflection of how good you were at Heroes of the Storm, but we didn't necessarily actually consider how experienced you were with a specific hero. So let me walk you through this graph a little bit. There's two things being shown here. This is before we actually included hero level, and this is after we started including hero level. In the middle there, you've got that dashed line. That's kind of the ideal win rate. That's where we have our even games. This graph is a little bit zoomed in, actually, so it doesn't mean that bottom is 0% and top is 100%, but we wanted to kind of highlight it a little better for you. And in the bottom on the x-axis, you've got hero levels going across to 20. So first, let's look at the blue line there. This is without considering hero level. This is before we took this into consideration. You can see that at level 1 for a hero level, your win rate is quite a bit lower than that ideal rate. And this is purely because even though you're really good at maybe Heroes of the Storm, you're playing with a brand new hero, you don't know how to use them yet, you don't know what all the talents are and when you should pick what when to counteract what the opposing team is doing. And as a result, your win rate was lower. As you kind of move up to the hero levels there, and you get to around 7 or 8, you see that you start crossing over that line. That's like that sweet spot where players start learning how to use their heroes, how to counter opposing teams' compositions and whatnot. And then you see we actually jump quite a bit over that line. As you get more experience with your hero, and you go into the teens, now your win rate is a good amount higher. So either way, this is not an ideal kind of view. The purple line is what happens after we start considering hero level in our quick match matchmaking. So already you can see from 1 to about 8 or so, we're bouncing around that win line there. It's in a much better place. As we cross over again, once we get to 8 or 9, you see again, players start understanding how to use that hero and we start crossing a little bit over. And so while it is a little bit over that ideal win line, it's much closer than it was before. So this has actually been a great improvement to quick match matchmaking, and it's one of those things that we're going to look at. We're going to keep on tweaking these numbers, and we're going to keep on enhancing as time goes on. One of the other changes we made, and this is more for Hero League, is we also add an additional restriction where we will not match you up in a game where a player is 2 divisions lower than you. So what that means is if I'm Gold 1, we're going to match you up potentially with someone in Gold 2 or Gold 3, but we're not going to drop down to lower than, like down to Silver or Bronze or something like that. So this was a huge improvement as well for our Hero League matchmaking. And one of the reasons why this was necessary is occasionally we get into situations where the matchmaker says, look, I can't actually find a game right now. And we essentially say, they've waited long enough, let's just start this game. And we started a lot of games that weren't ideal. We put this restriction in so that we said, look, it doesn't matter how long they wait. We don't want to actually start a game that is significantly poor quality. So this has also made a lot of improvements. Again, these are just 2 changes we've made. We've made many more, but I just wanted to highlight a couple for you. So now, one of the things is all of these changes have actually had an impact to our queue times. Back when we started on this initiative to improve our matchmaker, we said, look, we're willing to trade queue times up to a limit for match quality. We were laser focused on improving match quality. So as we kept on making these improvements, we basically deliberately traded that aspect of queue time for match quality. And so in some cases, just to give you some numbers, in quick match, our times may have gone up by 50%. And in some cases for Hero League, it may have gone up by 200%. And now realize, this is at the same time, if you think back to my other graph, where we actually had an increased number of players playing in Hero League. And so this is basically a great view on what happened here, where we decided to really focus on match quality, which we still feel is the priority. However, we don't think it's the only thing. We want to get you into games quickly. And by the way, let me just touch on, while some of these numbers look very large in terms of going up 50% or whatnot, previously maybe we were finding you a game in 60 seconds or so. Now in quick match, we might be finding you a game in 90 seconds. And so, regardless, even that increase, it's more than we want. We want you to get into games quickly. And so this is something we're also looking at right now. We're going to be working on bringing those queue times back into check, and while still not actively hurting match quality, it's something that we still value and we still want to prioritize. So next up, we have Travis to talk about some cool new stuff coming up.
Thanks, Alan. Hey, everyone. I appreciate that. It's my first BlizzCon. It's great to see you all out there. So I'm the lead systems designer for Heroes of the Storm. We've taken a look back over the last year, all the great things that have been added to the game. We've done a little more in-depth dive into where things stand currently. I'm here to talk to you about the future. Because in addition to all the content you've come to expect from us with new heroes like Ragnaros and Varian, it's amazing new skins, mounts, battlegrounds, events, we got some cool new features coming your way too. Before I get too far into this, though, I do need to say that everything I'm about to talk about is still in development, which means it can change, and I don't have hard dates on when any of this is coming out, so give me a little slack. So, yeah, let's just dive right into it. First up, one of the big requests we get from players is they're looking into more insights into how they're performing as an individual in a match. The MVP system was a step in that direction, and it's calling out players who performed well or excelled in some way within that match, but it is specific to those match conditions themselves. It's not really telling you whether you're doing better or worse than you were previously. So this new feature, which we're just calling personalized stats, is taking the next step on that. It's going to look at your performance in the game, and it's going to compare that to your personal history or the historical performance of players of similar skill. Now, these comparisons are specific to the match conditions, so it's only going to look at games that are played in the same game mode and with the same hero, and when it's doing community comparisons, people in the same region who are in the same MMR bracket, so basically have the same skill. Now, when it finds something you've done well, it's going to notify you at the end of the match. I got a few examples here for you. Here we've got an example of, let's see, you've been playing as Alarak in Hero League, and over the last 30 days, you've been averaging about 60,000 hero damage per game. This particular game, you did about 10% better than that, so good job on that one. Next up, this is saying people who have been playing Kerrigan in Quick Match that are similar to your skill level over the last 7 days, we're averaging about 11.7 assists per game, and you just utterly destroyed that with 21 assists that match. And it also looks at battlefield objectives, or battleground objectives. In this case, Zagara in Team League over the last 30 days was getting about 10.6 thousand damage to Shrine Guardians on Infernal Shrines, and you did 17% better than that game. So these stats are initially, we've got about 25 different metrics going on, and it is specifically calling out things that you've excelled on in this game. We do want to improve on both of those in the future, adding both more metrics and finding ways to look for areas where you can improve. You have to be a little more sensitive about telling you you've done badly, so the messaging on that has to be a little careful. Okay, moving on. Haunted Mines is coming back. Yeah, I'm as excited as you are. This has been one of my all-time favorite battlegrounds, despite the problems when it first came out, and I'm really excited to get it back into play. Now, when it launched, it did have some issues. We pulled it out of rotation, and we've been reworking it. So I want to kind of get into the changes we've made. First off, we changed the way the golem spawns worked. In the original version, your golem always spawned in the same lane, and the opposing team's golem spawned in the opposite lane, basically creating one lane that's for attacking and one lane was for defending. It wasn't the most balanced. So now, every time your golem spawns, it's going to be spawning in alternating lanes. This is similar to how the Zerg waves work in Braxis Holdout. In addition, golems no longer respawn where they died. Instead, every time a golem spawns, it's going to spawn a fixed distance from the core. It was just a little too snowbally before. We've also updated the Merc camps. We got rid of the Bruiser camp that was on the map, and we replaced it with 2 Sapper camps. This will be the first time those have been used outside of Towers of Doom, so it should add some pretty interesting gameplay. And then we've reworked the mine layout pretty extensively. There's now 4 entrances instead of 2, making it a little easier to get in and out without getting ganked. So I'm kind of excited by that one. The skulls are more evenly distributed, and the boss is now dead center in the middle of the mines, making for really active play space. Should be pretty cool. This one is in the final stages of internal testing, and we're expecting to get this back into the game before the end of the year. You should be seeing this really soon. Yeah, it's good stuff. On to a big one. We're updating the progression system. Now, before I get into the changes about what we're going to be doing with progression, I want to take a minute to talk about what is it about the progression system that we're not happy with right now. Why are we changing it? So first off, progression is capped, as I'm sure all of you know. Account level is capped at 40, hero level is capped at 20. We had a quick show of hands. How many people here are at account level 40? Yeah, that's a lot of people. How many people have a hero at level 20? Far fewer. Yeah. Kind of gets to, Alan's got one. Yes. Kind of gets to the second point. Hero levels get really grindy after level 10. On average, it takes you anywhere from 10 to 13 hours of play per hero per level after that point. And you're not even playing those guys every game. It takes a long time to level up. And the rewards are pretty infrequent. From hero level 1 to 10, that's actually pretty good. After level 10, it gets sporadic. And then account levels, you're getting a reward only about every 5 levels or so. So what's changing? Well, first off, we're going to uncap progression. So, yeah. This will be for both account and hero level. We're probably going to have a cap in place, but I want it high enough that I'm not standing here again next year telling you we're increasing the cap again. So we're looking at something like hero level 999, big numbers. Going along with that, reworking that hero level experience curve. I want to get the time it takes to get a hero level down to more in the 3 to 4 hour range as opposed to the 13 plus it is currently. Then a big one. We're getting rid of the idea that account level is its own thing that gets experience and gains levels, and instead, your account level is just going to be the sum of all of your hero levels. So if you've got, say, Yeah, 5 heroes at level 10, you're going to be an account level 50. We think this is just a better indication overall of your experience with the game and your breadth of experience with the heroes. And then finally, if I can fast forward, we want to get the rewards more frequent. We're working out the details here, but my goal is that every time you gain a level, you're getting a reward. And we want to go beyond just gold. We've got this amazing catalog of things we've created for heroes over the last couple years. Amazing skins, mounts, even the heroes themselves. We want to dive into that for our reward pool. So as I'm kind of talking here, now I'm going to get even further ahead. These are into areas where we're just starting development or we're just talking about them right now. So this is kind of the section that I like to call things I really shouldn't be talking about. But we thought it would be useful for the community to know where we're going and what's important for us in the future. So first up, we want to get hero swaps in draft. Yeah, this is a big request we get from the community, and we agree. We want to get that in there so that after you're done drafting, you can swap those heroes around so you can focus on drafting the heroes that are right for the strategy for your team composition first, and then putting them in the hands of the people best equipped to play them afterwards. This is probably going to show up first in custom games for use in tournament modes first before we roll it out into the main game. Next up, battleground rotations. We're at 11 battlegrounds right now. It'll be 12 when Haunted Mines comes back, and it is a lot to ask for people to master not just their heroes, especially in ranked play, but also how those heroes play on the different battlegrounds and all the different battlegrounds themselves. When we did the Machines of War event, we reduced the pool down to 7 in order to get those StarCraft maps popping in more frequently. And just overall, people reacted really positively to just having a smaller pool and then having that change each patch. So we want to make that more permanent, especially for ranked play. We want to get this down so that we've got a ranked play pool of around 6 to 7 maps at any one time, probably changing them about once a month or so you're getting about 3 rotations over the course of a season. Unranked will still maintain the full pool. That way you still have your full breadth of your maps and your favorites will still pop up in there. Next up, integrated voice chat. So Heroes is a team-based game, very much so. And whether you win or lose can a lot of times come down to how well you coordinate and communicate with your team. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to do that. I know when I play in a party right now, I always use voice chat. I'm sure a lot of you do too. So we want to get that Blizzard voice chat that just launched. We want to get it integrated into the client so that everybody can use this really easily. Similarly, we want to make it easier for people to find parties. We want to take that party finder and make it more intelligent. When you're looking to get a party, I want you to be able to select what gameplay mode you want to play, what role you want to fill, and then intelligently match you with parties who are looking for those needs. And building on all of that, clans. This is, again, a huge community request, and we totally agree with it. Clans are a fantastic way for you to log into the game. You've already got this social community of people who play the same way you do, that you can get in there, you can chat, you can easily put parties together, and you can go off and have fun. And then the systems designer in me looks at this, and there's so many cool things we can do once we have clans in play. You can add clan ranks, you can add clan advancement, and I can even see clan versus clan tournaments coming out of this. That could be a lot of fun. So as I've been talking, I've been kind of getting further and further ahead, which makes me feel a little bad. So I want to end up here on something that's currently playable on the show floor, which is Blackheart's Revenge. This is a unique new custom brawl map, which is really showing off the creative freedom that this gameplay mode gives us. This is the first time we've really done an attack-defend gameplay, where you've got 2 forces here. One of them are playing as Blackheart's forces, who are trying to protect Blackheart's ship as it's making its way into the docks to blow up the Commodore's port. The other team is trying to stop that by gathering cannonballs from around the docks, taking them to cannons, and trying to sink Blackheart's ship. Blackheart's forces win if the ship makes its way all the way into the port and blows up the Commodore's docks. The Commodore's forces win if they manage to sink Blackheart's ship. This is also an asymmetrical layout map, which is kind of unusual for us. You can see the layout itself here. Only one side has a core. Only the Commodore has a core. And the objectives are dynamically changing as the ship makes its way into the port itself. Now we got some gameplay footage of this I want to show off here, but we're going to do a quick Q&A afterwards. So to make things easier, I think we got a microphone here in the center. If people, yeah, the guy waving, if people can start lining up over here for questions, we'll get into it right after this. Can we play the video, please?
I'm getting my revenge by destroying those docks, and you're gonna help me. Blackheart's closing in. Stop that wretched ship. Guns! Get out there! And don't let them fire those cannons at me ship. We're getting close. close. If I had a tongue, I could taste it. You can't stop the undead, Commodore.
Go and gather the cannonballs quickly. I want to hear those cannons thundering. Your revenge is in shambles, Blackheart. Vengeance denied.
I'll be back.
Hi. First of all, thank you for making such an amazing game. I love it. I play it every day. Secondly, in Overwatch recently, they had a really cool Halloween event where there was this thing called Junkenstein's Revenge, which was just this PvE brawl. And I couldn't help but think how awesome it would be to get with my friends and do like a dungeon crawl or a wave-based tower defense thing in Heroes of the Storm. How do you guys feel about adding PvE content to Heroes of the Storm, and what do you see for the future there?
I think we like it. Like, there's a lot of guys on the team who are very passionate about that, who are very excited about that as a direction we could take some modes in this game. I don't know when we will get to it exactly, but you are not alone. There is a small army of developers on the team who share your passion for that kind of game mode.
Hey guys, big fan. So I know you mentioned swaps, and is there going to be some extra stuff? Because no, the HGC is going on right now, and they have their own drafting mode with time pools and the bonus time and stuff. When are we going to be able to actually replicate that inside the game client?
Yeah, that's actually what I was talking about when we're going to be getting it in the custom games first. Our goal is to be able to support the tournament draft like you're talking about in-game through custom games first, and then we're going to be rolling that out into the main game afterwards.
Hello, got two questions for you. One, in Overwatch, you can, when the player disconnects at the start of the game, the system kicks everyone out and starts a new match. Are we going to be seeing that in Heroes? And the other question is, I have over 100,000 gold. Is there anything I can burn that on?
Yeah, so as far as when someone leaves the game and kind of what happens as a result, that's actually something we've experienced ourselves and we've gotten a lot of feedback on. It is something we're exploring right now. We want to give some kind of either whether it's restarting that game, because there are times when, because we can allow players to reconnect, we have a grace period where people can come back in, but there's a point where probably we say, you know what, this team is at a disadvantage. We probably want to forgive this loss for them, and whether that's actually disbanding the game or just making it so that the loss doesn't count against them, that's something that we're looking at, and we'd love to kind of talk about that some more in the future.
For the gold question, we are investigating different ways to spend gold for people like yourself that have tons of it, but I don't have anything I can talk about right now. Thank you. Sorry.
Hello. Currently, we have to use HotS logs for personalized stats. I'm wondering if what you guys showed us here today will end up replacing that at some point?
We don't want to replace HotS logs. We love these guys, but we would like to get you more stats in-game so you don't have to go externally to see a lot of these things. The personalized stats is just the next step in that direction, but we do plan to keep expanding down that path.
Hey guys, big fan. So in ranked, there are people that drop either intentionally or not, and the times where the teams that have the drop player lose. Is there any way you guys want to address that as far as maybe making not the penalty so steep if you lose? If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. We call it loss forgiveness. It's on our list of things to do. It's something we're actively working towards. Basically, if you're in a situation where through no fault of your own you lose a match, we don't want to penalize you either at all or as heavily, just depending on how it works out.
Hello, I had a question about queuing for specific roles. Has the team ever thought of a way to queue for assassin or tank or support so that we don't get into a game and have 5 people that want to play the same role?
Yeah, definitely. When I was talking about the party finder and letting you queue as a role there when you're looking for a party, I want to extend that functionality too, so when you're queuing up for different gameplay modes, you can select the roles you're interested in playing, and then let the matchmaker use that when making matches. Now, this goes back to what Alan was talking about, that we have to be careful not to continually increasing the queue times, so we'll have to investigate the impact of that first, but it's an interesting thing we're looking into.
Hi there. First, I'd like to encourage you to bring the Team Finder and the Party Chat to the game ASAP. I think that's really the gold standard where Heroes is going. But my question is around level 20 rewards. I know that I've got some heroes on the cusp. I know a lot of people have level 20 heroes. They'd like to see some kind of capstone for that. So do we have anything in the works, maybe?
Yeah, when we're talking about progression and talking about getting rid of that cap, we're also looking at ways that players can more easily kind of show off their prowess within the hero, even beyond 20. So yeah, we're investigating things like that right now as part of that progression update.
Hey guys, thanks for having me here. I have a question about some of the older heroes that don't get any of the love, like Murky. Are we ever going to get any updates to Murky gameplay?
The team does look at, like I said, we did 19 hero reworks this year, and I'm sure we've got more reworks coming in future years. I know that the team has been asking themselves about Murky. I don't know if or when they're going to make the decision to sort of pull the trigger on making a move on Murky, but I'll take your feedback on that right now. I understand what you're saying. You want to see a Murky update. I think that's very fair feedback, and we'll talk with these guys and see if and when they can get that into play. But there will certainly, I expect at some point every hero gets hit, right? As we've gone forward, we've changed what we know about talents. The esports community has taught us a great deal about what is possible in this game and what is fun. When you guys play on Battle.net, we see your picks, we see your win rates with those picks, and every time that a hero's been out for 6 months or more, there's always some designer in the balance team that's like, look at that, we got to fix it, right? And so I think you can expect all of these heroes to come into the microscope at some point. But yeah, I'll definitely take your feedback right now on Murky. It's good.
Hello. I have a question about building the team with the MMR. The theory of the MMR says that the average of the MMR is different from the MMR of the team. Are you using the variance somehow to build the teams for the quick map for the matching? And another thing is, why are you using only the average for the badges that you just showed, saying that your damage is higher than the average? Why not show that your damage is in the top 1% of this character?
Yeah, so on the first part, it's actually more than simply just a straight average, but it's heavily influenced by that. But we realize that there's more to it than just a straight average. It can mean different things if you have a team that's very close in skill and then someone who's far lower versus a team that's very close in skill and someone who's far higher. And so that's actually one of the things. I talked about all those improvements we're making. That's one of the things that over the course of the year, we keep on looking at how we tweak that kind of team MMR that we're looking at. And so that's something we'll keep on looking at as we move forward.
For that second part, when you're talking about the badging for the personalized stats, we're looking at exactly what you're talking about as a secondary thing once this comes out. Right now I'm playing around with things that are like, you are 1% global in this particular stat, something that's really meaningful.
This will be our last question.
Hey guys, absolutely love the game. One thing that you guys do that's unique that I think is really interesting is you take pretty risky design decisions, such as Cho'Gall getting controlled by 2 players, this new map you have coming out. But I think that's part of what makes Heroes really great. Do you ever find issues striking the balance between doing really unique things and keeping the identity of your game?
I think the design team always struggles to find the right balance between really trying to push the limits and yet also creating stuff that's easy for players to play and understand. And you'll see us throughout the year trying different things, seeing what we can figure out, how to both bring you new experiences you've never had before, but also trying to bring you things that are very accessible. We certainly tried that this year with BlizzCon. Varian can be a very easy hero to play in a lot of ways, but his talent flexibility is very high. Ragnaros is kind of nutty when he turns into, he takes over a building, but he's kind of a fairly ordinary melee assassin in some ways before that moment. So we're always looking to ride the line, and we always welcome your feedback when it comes to how much more you'd like to see where we push the boundaries and how much you'd like to sort of see it be play it a little bit more straight from time to time. But it's absolutely an ongoing question, something we do ask ourselves every week, every month, every year. Have we gone too far? Have we not gone far enough? It's a very good question. All right, everybody, that is it for the State of the Game panel. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you all in the Nexus.